Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
We are live. Welcome to the Token Metrics Monday live stream. I'm your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, especially in times like these, and you need to make money no matter what, then subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so we can tell you when we're going live. And if you like the content, please give us a thumbs up. I'm joined today by Mehdi. Mehdi, hi.
Hi, Bill. Hi, everyone.
All right, we're going to talk Bitcoin and ETH. We're going to keep it pretty simple, given that, there's an emergency Fed meeting today and, serious geopolitical issues. So this is going to be some charts. I'll help you out as much as I can with requests. And then Mehdi's got a really cool altcoin strategy for the Metaverse. So don't go anywhere. Now, let's see who's on the stream. Okay. UPS truck swerving through the Fed. Nikki's, welcome. So we have Kentucky, the Caribbean, Iceland. All right. Corona, California, Poland, Tel Aviv, Estonia. All right. Welcome to the stream. All right. I'm going to kick off straight up. All right. I have Cyprus and India as well, and Houston. I'm going to kick in straight into your market update. War games. All right. So we have the conflict overseas, and we have massive uncertainty regarding the Federal Reserve and what's going to happen and how they're going to behave, particularly since nobody's seen what I would call an emergency Fed meeting, which is sort of funny because back when I started in the market, the Fed would just send signals or raise rates after economic numbers. There's almost never a press conference or an announcement. So what's old is new again. So uncertainty of war and people having to adjust to a whole way of relating to the Fed without freaking out. All right. Did you enjoy the American Super Bowl yesterday? Did you wake up this morning and go, oh no, I didn't do anything for my significant other for Valentine's Day because I was too busy with the Super Bowl? Well, we can help. Okay. Token Metrics is running a 30% off any annual plan or upgrade using the code LOVE30. That's LUV30. Okay. That's going to be valid for the next couple days, and nowhere better to be with AI and artificial intelligence, as well as our human research reports and analytics, which I can tell you personally are going to the next level very soon because I'm one of the ones who write them. Now, let's jump right into themes and thoughts about what's going on. So this is like a guessing game or scenario analysis. War is overreported because of it's dramatic. You can take pictures of tanks. Okay, what's going on with the Fed is underreported because of the level of uncertainty. Now, according to something I read, geopolitical futures, Russia is unlikely to start a war. So moving troops and wanting diplomacy is different from actually shooting. Okay, the Fed could hike the Fed funds rate and announce a taper schedule. So if you hear taper schedule, that means a potential reduction in the amount of money that they print. Okay, now if we know what the Fed is going to do, right, and we kind of do, right, they have to do all their rate hikes and whatever they're going to do, they have to do it before July 4th. Right? They have to do everything before the U.S. election. So inflation is at 7% and interest rates are at 0. And I don't know why everyone is so upset because we know that has to change. So if the Fed hikes the funds rate, but doesn't say anything about printing less money, then that's bullish for crypto. If the Fed comes out and says we're hiking the funds rate, we're going to keep hiking the funds rate, and we're going to dramatically slow down how much money we print starting next quarter, that probably tanks everything. Now, believe it or not, even though that sounds bad, right? Like higher rates, less printing money, booga booga, okay? The worst thing that can happen is that the Fed meets and then says nothing other than we met, right? Uncertainty is toxic. So even if the news is bad, at least if we know what it is, if there's some sort of an announcement, then that could help the markets, I think, right? So certainty is better than uncertainty, even if the certainty is negative. Worry is toxic for markets, okay? Now, with inflation, the cat is out of the bag, and crashing risk assets with geopolitical tension seems unwise. That's the last bullet, right? What does that mean? Well, the Fed has to hike rates, and it needs to show optics to politicians and the public that they're trying to do something about inflation, all right? But it's also going to be bad optics if the Fed crashes the market. So the idea that crypto can't rally in this environment is incorrect, right? Because there's no incentive, okay, with, TV coverage of war for the Fed to just come out and crash everything. Now, that may happen later because it just has to, but I don't know that it has to happen today. So certainty better than uncertainty, talk better than silence, and I don't think the Fed is going to come out and do something they know is going to wreck the market. All right. So let's just talk about the Bitcoin charts and Ethereum charts, and let's try to figure out what people are looking at, right? Like, let's keep it simple. All right. So the bearish community believes that the kind of reversal that we've seen lately looks a lot like what happened at the November top. All right. And, looking at a linear regression band, it's something that they could argue, right? So if Bitcoin can't recover above 44K, there's an argument that, that's not good, right? Now, if Bitcoin is below 41K, that would be most likely really bad. There's good support down there, okay? Personally, I'm hoping for a quiet rally throughout the rest of February. That's my hope, right? That everybody is upset and people are so upset that they don't know what to do. So the market either sits still or rallies a little, barring an event. That said, the people who are negative, they have a point because there's a lot of things happening that I assumed were going to happen before the CPI number, right? In other words, we were going to know, okay, we know inflation's bad and whatever scary stuff with war was going to happen, and then it was going to just pass. Now we can't guarantee that, all right? Okay, let's look at Ethereum. I think Ethereum has got to get above like 2980 to really get going, right? Otherwise, one of two things is going to go on in ETH, right? It's either stuck at 3,000 because of things related to options that I discussed in a prior episode, right? There's a lot of options bets being made around 3,000, and that can make that price kind of like a magnet, right? Like ETH goes to 2850 and then comes back to 3,000, or ETH goes to 3250 and then comes back to 3,000. And it may be that way for the rest of the month. Okay. Now, conversely, if things get going here on the upside, I think ETH's got the most room to move. I still think that. All right. Now, let's look at Bitcoin on like a 4-hour chart. So there's some decent looking trend line support here. There's also support around 41K. So one of the things that I want to point out in Bitcoin is that, okay, it could go up, but when I'm done talking, what's the Bitcoin takeaway for you? I think is you don't want to see a failed rally. I talked about this, weeks ago, right? If you have a downtrend or if like a bear phase is going to start, bear phases always start with really brutal failed rallies. So if something constructive happens and Bitcoin goes up to 46K and then fails, then watch out. Just watch out, right? In the meantime, right, we're all probably going to wind up sitting and waiting. Now let's talk altcoins. I mean, last week was one of the most dramatic candles that I remember seeing, like completely changing around at the end of the week. So we have a head and shoulders top in total 3. Total 3 is altcoin market cap minus Bitcoin and inflation. I'm sorry, minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, altcoins before the reversal of CPI were doing really good. Then they turned around and tanked, and this bearish formation that had turned bullish has kind of turned back to either neutral or bearish. It's going to require some work on the upside. So the future of altcoins literally hangs in the balance. Now let's go back to Bitcoin and talk about fear in the crypto markets. Fear in Bitcoin was actually a lot higher back in May. Now, if there's anything that makes me not really bullish Bitcoin, is the fact that, this is the put-call ratio. So the more bearish bets, okay, versus bullish bets, the higher this number, right? So it's the amount of bearish bets divided by the bullish bets. So as those bearish bets rise, okay, put-call ratio rises. Now, that doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it. Fear, this is like VIX for Bitcoin. People were more afraid back in May than they are now. All right. Now, that could be good. But if the Fed comes out and is way more aggressive, or there's any shooting, all right, I don't know that people in crypto are ready for that. Now, on the flip side, if fear is lower, that might mean people would step in if we could get some clarity, right? So I wish people were more afraid because big fear can trigger rallies, all right? But if people aren't afraid and the news is neutral, okay, that could lead to higher prices. Now, if you really want some excitement from Token Metrics, Mehdi and I, in the middle of this whole mess, right, we'll be doing like a trading battle, as it's called, right, where we're both going to like put ideas into the market both during the show and try to prognosticate how our positions would do out, say, 2 or 3 days or 3 or 4 days, which would be really interesting because, it's, it's either the apocalypse or it's not. So make sure you tune in for that. That is, I believe, 9:15 UTC time. And I believe if my producers got it right, I believe it's 4:15 Eastern, right? 4:15 Eastern time for me and Mehdi, a special live stream on our channel. Now, to queue up Mehdi, I have followed on this show a Metaverse coin called Cube, right? And one of the things that I think could actually go up if there's no disaster, right? In other words, probably the most interesting thing to think about is what are the best fundamental plays in the event you get kind of a Bitcoin or Ethereum market that's just scared. So Cube is actually holding the 62% retracement, right, just underneath 6. So I'm really interested to see how Metaverse plays unfold if crypto does have another 2 weeks of upside. And that is the market update. All right, let's see who's on the stream. Okay, Lucas is asking when the Fed meeting is. I believe it's today. Okay, we have Turkmenistan. All right, we have Texas, Luxembourg. All right, happy Valentine's Day to you. Right. So whether you have a sweetheart or not, we love you here at Token Metrics. Right. Don't forget that 30% off coupon, love 30. All right. Let's see what somebody's saying. Is it true that the Fed can't stop printing because of the potential for total correction? Nobody wants to take responsibility. Well, that's true, right? So it's optics and politics, right? The Fed has to look like they're doing something. Hopefully, that leaves the market with a level of clarity. Clarity is key. All right, with that said, Mehdi, let's talk fundamentals, man. What do you got?
Yeah, you just hi everyone. You just showed the chart of Cube. So I was browsing through Cube. I think Somnium Space is one of those plays that I believe is very undervalued, and also very it doesn't have that much hype. Now, let's say if you want to get exposure to Mana or Sand, but you feel like those coins are overvalued, I have a coin for you that kind of gives you a similar exposure, similar experiences, if not more, but at a cheaper valuation. Now, I still want you to do your own research, but I feel like this is one of those coins that are very cheap. So let me just quickly share my screen and just show you um, basically show you some things about the coin. So for example, if you go over here, so I don't know if you can see my screen. So this is very similar to Mana or Sandbox, where you can buy a parcel of land, and build any utility on top of it. It could be a digital mall, it could be a digital college, it could be a gaming arcade, and so on and so forth. So the token name is Cube, CUBE, and the project name is Somnium Space. Uh, so you can buy the parcel on OpenSea, or you can buy the parcel directly from their marketplace if you're interested. It is very similar to Mana and Sand. The only difference is it's more immersive, in my opinion. So you can wear a whole bodysuit, a Tesla bodysuit, or it's compatible with different virtual reality headset. So they are also making their own headset, but in the future, and it's also compatible with Oculus if you own Oculus. But it's also compatible with different other headsets. So their focus is basically creating a Mana and creating a sandbox, but with this immersion in mind. And the CEO in one of the interviews, let me see if I have the interview with you. So this is the CEO. In his interview, he says that in the future he's also thinking about incorporating smell. So they're trying to bulletproof their metaverse in terms of future optionality. Now, the cool thing about this interview was the CEO was also wearing a bodysuit and was giving a podcast interview with this host. The name of the CEO is Arthur here, and he was wearing a suit and he was just interacting. So let me just quickly show you like what I mean. Yeah, so he's wearing a bodysuit and he's interacting and giving an interview. So I thought that was cool. Uh, so you have all the things that you need for Mana, but then you also have other optionalities, and I'll just quickly briefly tell you why I like it. uh, so I think it's only one of those metaverse plays out there that is going all in on a multi-sensory experience. So you're wearing a Tesla suit, you're wearing a VR, AR. For me, that is pretty cool. It's also multi-chain. They're EVM compatible. They launched on Ethereum, but they're also available on Polygon. The marketplace is Polygon compatible, but they have ambitions to go on Binance Smart Chain, Harmony, as well as Solana. Uh, they have also developed an interesting social system. So they're also trying to create this metaverse as a society. So every member of the society will have a karma point. So those karma points are your reputation points. So, for example, if you do good deeds in their society, or if you are just very active in their society, you'll get more karma points, and because of those karma points, will be eligible for more cube tokens. This is one of the major reasons for me. It's also very cheap. It's 10 to 15 times on fully diluted valuation basis cheaper than Mana and Sand. And another reason why you should like it is that it's less popular and it's less hyped up. So this valuation, if the hype catches up, if people realize the immersive experience you get, uh, this coin has a potential to basically catch up to the valuation of Mana and Sand. So if you want Mana and Sand and you want to play them in a cheaper way, this could be it. Alternatively, if you don't like the coin, coin has more of a transactional value. You can use it to buy stuff. You can also buy real estate in Somnium space. I think the real estate is also slightly cheaper when you compare it to Decentraland or Sandbox.
All right. Thank you, Mehdi. So let's take a look. Let me see if I can pull up the cube chart, and let's try like a cube deep dive on the fly. So I know I had it up there in the PowerPoint, but let's take a look at cube and then Sandbox. Okay, so here's cube. By the way, if my video is looking better and the lag time on the presentation looks better, I've got some new hardware. So if it looks better than it normally does, please let us know. So this is cube, right? And there's a lot of support at 591. Now, this is an 8-hour chart. So let me just make that right. All right, and then let's go to a daily to see what it gives us. All right, so as you can see with cube, right, it's actually hard to draw on the chart just because of how unbelievable the rally was and how it was subsequently unwound. So it's almost like everything I drew on the intraday chart, I've almost got to like take off of it. Now, let's see when we look at cube, and again, this is like total freestyle. We may be doing a little bit more freestyle on the show because it seems like people might like that. All right, so here's the Gantt structure. All right, so I didn't get any support coming off cube from the Gantt structure. So sometimes when it comes to TV, I guess you just have to you have to accept the fact that when you're doing on-the-fly TA, that things may fail. Now, let's take a look at cube on an 89-minute basis, right? So, this may not be relevant, a month from now or even a few days from now, but let's see if we can detect anything in this market where cube might be telling us, that it's oversold, right? So if we go back to like the end of January, right, cube took off from this level. So what we've done is cube has returned to an area where it had taken off from in the past. Also, if you look at it like an Elliott wave structure on this, right, this has a very nice feel of a 5-wave structure and a completed downtrend. So when you're playing the metaverse, right, the metaverse may be the place to go, right, if there's a neutral Fed, right? We've talked about, NFTs, metaverse being a better store of value or a better play. Now, again, many outlined that, the cube token may have, I don't know, for a metaverse coin, I guess, it's got some utility, particularly this like social karma, right? I hadn't heard that before, right? Now, when it comes to Sandbox, okay, so this is a more popular play. This is Sandbox on an 80-minute basis, okay? Sandbox actually has some really good support here, right? And remember, Sandbox is now at 380, and I actually think that this is really good support down here because this is where like the last rally took off from, right? So think about it. So it was support here, right? And then it broke down, but it retested it there. All right. So whatever it is about 380, okay, it's meaningful in Sandbox. Here's a question. Not investment advice. Use a stop. Okay. But as with the payroll number the first time, if there's any such thing as, something that may actually try to rally, it could be the metaverse. Now, obviously, if you're wrong in something like Sand, particularly since you can trade it on centralized exchanges, you can just get out, right? But there's pretty good support down at 380, and it's encouraging that the metaverse has bounced from here. Now, bringing this back to the Fed, I'm going to go pull up AVAX while we're talking, right? So when we bring this back to the Fed, the question is the Fed crushing all speculation, right? Now, if you're out there going, I don't understand this Fed stuff, I don't get it. Like, are they going to crush all speculative assets? Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes crushing speculation is something that the Fed had to do in the internet bubble. That was Web 1.0 back in 2000, 2001, when I was a young man just hitting my stride as an analyst. Okay, so when we're looking at Avalanche, the level that gets my attention is 82. So Avalanche really hasn't gone anywhere. Whoops, this is 89-minute. Okay, in other words, Avalanche keeps coming back to this 82 level. It's held it a couple of times. Now, the question is, can Avalanche turn around and start moving away from 82, right? Now, the good news
Bill,
is...
I wanted to add
again,
one more update on Avalanche. So I don't know if you guys followed Avalanche.
Sure, go ahead.
It has taken over Binance Smart Chain in terms of TVL. So last week, me and Bill were just discussing about how AVAX could reach top 5. Now, in terms of TVL, it is after Ethereum, the most lucrative blockchain out there, just based on the TVL number. Now, for me, TVL is a very important metric for layer 1. And I'll tell you the reason why the TVL matters over here. This TVL, unlike Phantom, is not based on DeFi rewards that the VCs are pumping out. It's more organic than that, since the incentive AVAX put on, it has already expired. They put out incentive few months back, and those DeFi incentives have gone out. They have finished. So this is organic TVL. They're also launching on Banqui liquid staking. So you can stake your AVAX, you'll get a liquid AVAX token, and you can play around and do DeFi stuff. So which is also catalyst in my opinion. And finally, TVL is very important if you look at the network effect. So if you have more TVL, that means more users are coming, more fees is generating, and more value is being accrued to the chain. And when more value is accrued to the chain, it should go to the upside. So I believe Avalanche, if it's not part of your long-term crypto portfolio, I think you're missing out. Again, not financial advice. For me, Avalanche is not a trade, but it deserves a place in also in your long-term portfolio. Bill, go ahead. I'll let you be the guide in terms of technicals here.
No problem. One of the things that you want to watch for. So if you have a fundamental analyst, like if this was like an investment bank, traders and technical analysts will work off what the fundamental analyst thinks are important. How do they do that? Right. So if, say something like Cube or Avalanche has, a competitive advantage, a good valuation, or both, right? Those coins should trade better. Like if the market goes down, they should hold. Or, if the market rallies and then fails, those coins hopefully hold better, right? So if AVAX, Sandbox, and Cube hold up, right? Do they hold up? That's the question. Now, if they start falling apart and the market starts falling apart, well, you say to yourself, gee, the best stuff out there is trading poorly, right? You want to follow the good stuff, follow the message it sends you on the way up and down. All right, now let's go to the 4-hour chart of stocks. Actually, let's go to the 4-hour chart. So here we are. This is S&P futures. Now, one of the things that I haven't talked a lot about, so normally, when we do the market update, I kind of like bomb you with like 3 or 4 slides of legacy stuff. And that's okay. But as I get adjusted to my new machine, we're actually going to try something more conversational when it comes to legacy, right? So S&P futures stocks, right? Stocks are going to be the most sensitive to what's going on with the Fed, right? The bubble in stocks is shocking. Like, I love it when I hear legacy guys say crypto is, is play money or is pretend, right? Because the bubble over there in some ways is unbelievable. So I think what crypto people want from equities is stability, right? Or you would want something where, there was a move down to say 4,200, like the old lows, okay? And then you would want to see equities bounce back. And I think the only way you're going to get that, right, is with a Fed that gives you clarity, okay, and some sort of diplomatic backpedaling so that everybody can stop the Tom Clancy movie and actually get to the real business of sorting that situation out. Now, what you don't want to see in equities, all right, what you do not want to see in equities is any type of failed rally like up here, because we've already had 2 of them, right? In other words, if there's a failed rally over here, right, in this area near 4,500 in S&P futures, okay, that's bad. Be on the lookout for the failed rally. Now, let's also take a look at interest rates. Okay, this is the 10-year government bond. All right, and then I promise I'm going back to crypto. So the 10-year government bond is also something that you're going to follow after the Fed. How do you follow it? Okay, well, if the 10-year note yield spirals higher, right, because first it was at 2%, right, and everyone was afraid. This is 192. This is where the support is. So if the 10-year note yield explodes and goes to 220, that's crypto negative. That's the bond market saying, you know what, Mr. Federal Reserve, you don't have any credibility with us. Okay? Now, that was happening after the inflation number until the geopolitical situation came into play. Everyone freaked out. What do they do when they freak out? They buy bonds, and that actually bonds up, rates down. So this is confusing. But when the Fed comes out, the bond market will tell you whether or not the Fed's got credibility or not. If the Fed puts up a credible inflation fight, okay, and we know what they're going to do, that could be very constructive. But the bond market is only going to be the one that tells you that. Like bonds and stocks will probably be the cue that crypto will follow. If the 10-year note yield blows through 2% and goes to 220, like, Bill, I still don't get it. Well, that means the bond market and the Fed want to crush speculation. So risk management is key, And you want to be focused on good projects at good entry points. Because I do still believe that over the next 3 days, if you get a fear trade, okay, that doesn't destroy the world, crypto still has a good shot at least giving you a positive return during the rest of February. Just wasn't really counting on World War III and the Fed on the warpath. Now, our friends out there are looking at Veracity, I know, all right? And, it looks like people who are negative are still in charge, okay? They're still in charge, and you're seeing the weakness in Veracity, okay? They sold it up here, and then they sold it again, okay? I wasn't really expecting this candle here, but that's the way it shook out, All right. All right. Let's see who else we got. Okay. They like AVAX was at 53 a couple weeks ago. Megan wants to accumulate AVAX. Cool. All right. IOTX is about to reveal something big, Metaverse plans at ETH Denver. That's really interesting. All right. And then we have hellos from Austin, Texas. Right. And I want to do one more thing. Okay. Let's take a look at Network. Okay. Let's take a little bit of a look at the Metaverse to see how the Metaverse is doing. And let's see if I can pull Network up here. Here it is from KuCoin. All right. Now let's see what's going on the daily chart of Network. Okay, so this is very interesting. Okay, this is where the first like real dip in Network, like if you look over here, okay, that group of trading was really the first place on KuCoin where you could like really get involved. Okay, and then notice you had this whole give up trade below this level. Okay, it's like just below 2. So this is like $1.93. Now, obviously, right, Network has tried to come back above this a couple times and failed. Okay, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with it, but it also doesn't mean you need to go rushing into a speculative asset right before the Fed is about to come out, or there's other catalysts out there. Okay, in my opinion, if the Metaverse started to actually take off, then you would like go with that, right? $1.93 in Network is going to be the most important level. All right, now before we sign off, let me just make a couple quick points. All right. In a coin, if it drops, you want to say, do bears take control and do bulls counterattack, right? In other words, is somebody other than Michael Saylor willing to buy Bitcoin? Then if there's a rally, it's got to stick. As you see a failed rally, that's going to bring in aggressive sellers. My hope is that doesn't happen because ETH will stick at 3,000. Okay. Now, if there is a spike down and it comes back, you want to notice, are people willing to pay higher prices? All right. So these are the things that I can give you to write down. Mehdi, anything else out there?
Yes. So we had a very good question from Larry. It's a very basic question, but I appreciate the question anyways. Larry wants us to know why is Cube Somnium space cheaper than, let's say, Mana or SAN, even though the price is higher. So this is a very interesting question. So I'm just gonna quickly pull out my screen and show you what matters. So firstly, guys, you have to look at the maximum supply, or maybe so maximum supply over here is 100 million. So you have 100 million tokens, and you multiply the 100 million tokens by the current price. So this gives you a fully diluted valuation. So fully diluted valuation, it's what's the total value of this project. So the total value of this project is 610 million. So that's the reason why you always look at the token supply. So you can do apples to apples comparison. Now, if I go over here and I type sand, for example, I go to Sandbox. Now, Sandbox has a maximum supply of 3 billion. So you have 100 million versus 3 billion token supply. So 3 billion is 30 times more than 100 million, right? So if you multiply this number by the price, you get a fully diluted valuation of 12.1 billion. So relatively speaking, you have a coin, a Cube, which is 24 times cheaper than Sandbox. And I hope this is also a lesson for a lot of our audience to kind of look at the fully diluted valuation, take the maximum supply and multiply that by price rather than just by looking at the price alone. It's one of the mistakes a lot of rookie and early and new investors do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mehdi. Somebody was mentioning about Chainlink. Okay. Obviously, there's support down at 14. All right. And there's actually a good argument. Like if somebody said, we're going to have to probably do this on the trading game tomorrow. Like if someone said to me, what would you do right now? Like what would be the most intelligent crypto play you could come up with? Believe it or not, even though it's not as, sort of sexy, it would be Chainlink, believe it or not. Chainlink, right? Because you can play forms of DeFi, all right? You can not get totally destroyed. In other words, it's not a Metaverse coin. So let's sum it up. Avalanche, Chainlink, okay? Somnium or Cube, all right? Sandbox. These are interesting plays, I think, along with Ethereum, right? That could possibly benefit if there is no war or the Fed is not on the war path. That's a saying from Legacy. You've also heard the term hawkish. So today, we want to give you the best guidance we can and the coins to look at from both the chart and a fundamental point of view. All right. Also, I wanted to mention something else, that on February 16th, okay, Token Metrics is going to have a crypto tax webinar. Okay. So on 3:30 p.m., okay, Eastern Standard Time on February 16th, okay, Token Metrics is going to have a crypto tax webinar. So you're out there wondering like, could that mean I should take advantage of the 30% off coupon so I can be in the crypto tax webinar? I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe that would be a good idea. All right. Crypto taxes are something that the IRS is taking really seriously in the United States. So if you want help, okay, February 16th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, only for the Token Metrics community. Nowhere else can you get research for up and down markets, fundamental and technical analysis, and research from an artificial intelligence system. So we'll be talking more about these things throughout the week. Obviously, we have to let the Fed and the politicians do their thing, but stay tuned with us on Twitter, Token Metrics Inc., or on this YouTube channel. All right, folks, this is your host, Bill Noble. I will be here with you tomorrow. Okay, I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.